probably going to hear they were better off going out that way in 5 games where there's no question that they really truly have needs that they got to address than this series going 7 and you fool yourself that, you know what, maybe we're okay. You know what, maybe Jackson Hayes can be our starting center. Maybe depth-wise, we're all right with these players. No, you kind of saw the way it all worked out. I think it was actually even good that you saw Gobert 27 and 24 in that final game. It kind of just solidified. You got the absolute most in the regular season you could with this roster. You couldn't do jack you know what in the playoffs with this roster. So I think in a sense that might be a positive thing. Let me read a couple quotes here because, you know, there are a few things that I thought Pelinka said that is important to kind of point out. And I thought Pelinka emphasized a few things I think are going to be important. Here's what he said. He says, I think it's important to recognize this team was able to finish third in an incredibly tough Western Conference. And you make a seismic trade at the deadline, your roster and the building around it, it's kind of like you're trying to build an airplane in the sky. And now we get a chance to sort of land the plane, put it in the hangar, and really figure out the parts that we need to retrofit and change. That's what we'll do. A lot of things to learn. He said, I think when you make a huge trade at the trade deadline where you trade your starting center for a point guard, of course, that's going to create significant issues with the roster, and we saw some of those play out. We know this offseason, one of our primary goals is going to be to add size in our front court at the center position, and that's just going to be part of the equation. We have multiple free agents too. Obviously, those questions will get answered in July and August, but we know we have a lot of work to do on the roster, and it will look different next year for sure. So, you know, right out the gate, again, I think I'm going to continue to emphasize this. There are no shocks to this roster. We know what the Lakers need. There are no shocks to this roster. It's not good enough to truly compete in the playoffs. And even if we all thought, no, the roster can actually compete. Here's how I think, you know, the roller coaster of the Lakers season. Trade went down for Luka. It was like, holy Jesus, what just happened? Lakers just got Luka Doncic. How'd that happen? Then it was, okay, well, they're not going to compete this year, right? Like they can't compete this year. The roster's too incomplete. And then things start playing out, and it's like, maybe they can compete this year. And then by the time the regular season's done, they lock up the number 3 seed. It's like, oh my gosh, they might go on a run here in the Western Conference. Let's see how far they could go. I mean, at the absolute worst, they're going to get out of the first round. We'll see what their matchup is in the second round. Hey, maybe they're fortunate. They don't have Denver, Clippers, OKC in the first 2 rounds. Maybe they're in the right seeding, this and that. And then it just hits you right in the face. It's like, nah, they're not going anywhere. So it was a little bit of a roller coaster of what you thought. I think Pelinka very, very swiftly just basically said, yeah, the lack of size was obviously the difference on this roster. Were there other things that you could point at? Of course, JJ Redick mentioned something that I think was really interesting that I'll get into in just a second. But it is clear as day what the Lakers are going to prioritize over the summer. He said something else. It's very clear as clear when we spoke at the team roster needs more size and needs a center position. It's a very clear, obvious byproduct of trading potentially the best big in the league. Of course, that's going to open up a huge hole. I've said this before the trade deadline. The bonus up to it don't allow you the requisite time to explore every single unturned stone to add a big to our roster. We just didn't have the time after the Luka trade, but now we do. Okay. So obviously we know what the Lakers are going to try to do. And I think one of the other kind of bigger things to take away, one of the other bigger things I think to take away for the Lakers too, I think there is a lot of I don't know if you want to call it criticism or, you know, kind of looked at the roster and saw the way JJ was playing, maybe a stubbornness from his side to even play any of the size that he had, but he also didn't have confidence in any of the guys on the roster, whether that's fair or it's not. Now it's on Rob. Rob accomplished. Here's what Rob got to do over the last couple of months. He got a phone call from Nico Harrison that one of the top players in the NBA, who's got flaws, by the way. I mean, I think we're also going to talk a lot about Luka over these next couple of months and how he's got to be a lot better and how he's got to be in better shape and all this other stuff. But they got the exact player they were hoping, an international superstar that can kind of be the foundation of your team for years to come. Now Rob gets to play with, the cards that he's been dealt. And frankly, I think they're pretty good cards that he has in front of him. So that was my main takeaway from yesterday, was Rob Pelinka talking specifically like, we get it, we know, we understand it, we knew it prior. They still accomplished good things as far as winning 50 games. We got to go get bigs. We got to go get bigs. And I think if you're, I think if you're the type of players that you get, I saw this as well. Somebody had asked the question of, see if I could find it here. Somebody asked just the type of big, like the quality, the type of traits that the type of bigs that they're going to be targeting. Because listen, you could say Lakers go get a big. All right, well, there's a big difference between a skilled big man and an athletic big man, a basketball player and somebody that's just known for his athleticism. Will they try to find players that meet the specific needs of what Luka needs? Or is it a big that you can also throw the ball down to and say, hey, go get me a bucket? There's different types of bigs that are out there. Is it a big that's more primarily focused on a lob threat and playing defense? Or like I said, is it a big that, hey, he can hit 15-footers? Here's what Rob said about the type of center. I think in terms of center traits, it'd be great to have a center that was a vertical threat, lob threat, and someone that could protect the interior defensively. I think those would be keys. But there's multiple different types of centers that could be very effective in this league. There's also spread centers that could protect the rim. We'll look at those as well. I wouldn't want to limit the archetype, but we know we need a big man. All right, so that kind of gives you an idea. So for all those that, obviously are trying to look at, well, you got Luka. He clearly would rather have a lob threat, a pick and roll, somebody that he can use as an advantage during pick and rolls. The Lakers are very, very well aware that that's obviously a key need that they have, and they'll take it from there. I'm going to jump around here for a quick second because I had Mark Williams. I'm going to jump to Mark Williams for a quick second. I'll go back to the championship shape because that's going to be on the Austin Reeves piece. I wonder if the Lakers have Rob did not want to expand on that yesterday. Somebody had asked him, kind of, I forget the exact question, but Mark Williams came up and he just said that I can't get into any details of why that trade didn't go down, why they rescinded the trade. I was thinking about this, and if you go look at Mark Williams' numbers, so a couple things on Mark Williams. What do you have? He had a smiling emoji, just a happy emoji, after the Lakers were eliminated. Right after the game, Mark Williams just throws out an emoji like he's very excited and very happy for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I don't think he's a Minnesota Timberwolves fan. I think he's upset at the Los Angeles Lakers. By the way, if I got to be honest with you, I think Mark Williams has every right to be angry at the Los Angeles Lakers. Every right. Because when that dust settled, Dalton Knecht is still the same player. The Lakers are, obviously still the same team. It wasn't good for the Charlotte Hornets because they're kind of put in a position where it's like, hey, do you have an asset that is clearly got injury issues, and is that going to hurt him down the road? The person that got hurt the most was Mark Williams. Mark Williams got excited, thought he was coming to the Lakers, saw that Luka Doncic is on this team. He hasn't even played a game yet with the Lakers. Luka hadn't, and was like, oh my God, the exposure that I'm going to get, the opportunity that I'm going to get. I'm going to get a playoff run with a lot. I'm going from one of the worst franchises in the NBA to the most popular franchise in the league. I get to play with LeBron and Luka. Mark Williams, I'm sure, was feeling a certain way. And then the trade got rescinded. Who's the one got hurt most in that trade? The one who got hurt most in that trade was Mark Williams. Hey, is this damaged goods? What's going to happen to Mark Williams when he goes through another physical or gets traded somewhere else or wants to sign in free agency? People are going to remember Mark Williams as the guy that got traded to the Lakers and then the trade got rescinded. So if Mark Williams is happy that the Lakers got eliminated in the first round and Rudy Gobert had 27 and 24, I don't blame him for 1 second. I genuinely don't blame him for 1 second. But I was thinking about, Mark Williams specifically, because I do think that's the type of player that the Lakers need. And Bill Plaschke had an article in the LA Times basically saying that the Lakers might have got cold feet, might have thought they gave up too much. I remember when that trade went down, I was like, damn, okay, you're giving up a first rounder and Dalton Connect. So basically you're giving up 2 first rounders for Mark Williams, who's not really in the lineup all that often. All right, that's risky. But if they believed that's what they needed, then okay, it is what it is. Obviously the trade comes back. I had Bobby Marks on the show. Bobby Marks, him and I were talking a little bit about it. And he said that he felt like the Lakers might be better off here. Just get into the offseason, keep those assets. You got more time to figure it out. You don't have to rush. But part of me, yes, I think there is a little bit of, do they regret not making that trade for Mark Williams? I do know this about Mark Williams. 15-10 on the season. The only concern, by the way, over a block a game. Do I think he would have helped the Lakers in this playoff run? No question about it. Anybody that's trying to, make this case of like, no, I don't think he would have been able to help. What are you talking about? He would have started for the Lakers, been the starting center for the Lakers. Jackson Hayes would have been coming off the bench. Dorian Finney-Smith, you could have done whatever you wanted with Dorian Finney-Smith. You want Dorian Finney-Smith in the starting lineup next to Luka and bring Austin Reeves off the bench, which I don't think the Lakers were really ever going to do. Or you want to just bring DFS off the bench. You got Jackson Hayes now off the bench. It makes your lineup deeper. You never used Dalton Connect. Of course you could have used Mark Williams. But I'm not going to question the Lakers not bringing in Mark Williams, because if it really was from an injury perspective, that was their concern, then now it's up to Rob Pelinka to think long-term and find somebody where that isn't a concern. But Mark Williams put up numbers. He was much better towards the end of the season as well after the trade deadline. But 15-10 a game, I think the numbers were even better after the trade deadline. But he only played 44 games this season. So that was the biggest concern with Mark Williams. How often is he going to be available? He played 44 games this year. Is there a little bit of regret there? I think we're just going to have to wait until the offseason and see what they end up doing. Because if they end up getting a big that they feel like is much better for the Lakers long term, then that's a different story. If they feel like you go into the offseason and you make a trade and you gave up even more assets than you thought you were going to give up, or you didn't get a player that was good as Mark Williams, whatever the case is, right? Like, I think it all just depends on what happens in the offseason. But clearly for the Lakers, I know for some people out there, and I was listening to some, Mark Williams would have made a difference. Yes, he would have. Come on now. Look how bad the Lakers were. They had to, first off, they weren't using any of their players. And, clearly not having a big Mark Williams would have helped. So Mark Williams being petty and a smiling emoji that the Lakers had the playoffs, I got no problem with it. That dude literally his not just his finances, but the stigma around Mark Williams is, oh yeah, that's the guy that the Lakers said is not healthy enough to be in the trade. So I kind of get where he's coming from that perspective. But to kind of sum up, I think the most important thing that came out of that presser with Rob Pelinka and JJ Redick, everybody knows they need bigs. Everybody knows they got to go out there and obviously get some work done. And that's going to be on the top of their mind when it comes to what they're going to do in the offseason. All right, let's take a look at some of your comments. Let's take a look. What are people talking about here? Let's get some stuff here. The best coach can't overcome a bad series matchup. All right, thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well. Just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.